Lionel Messi has scored in every single game of this World Cup. 8 goals, top of the Golden Boot. He just dragged Argentina back from the dead with his own hands, and I'm here to tell you, his tournament is about to end. I know how that sounds, but stay with me, because underneath the greatest individual World Cup of Messi's life, something is quietly falling apart, and almost nobody is talking about it, because his brilliance keeps covering it up. Argentina have now stared directly at elimination twice in a row. Twice in back-to-back knockout games, the defending champions have been minutes from going home, and twice, a miracle bailed them out. Here's the problem with miracles. They run out, and on Saturday night in Kansas City, waiting for Argentina, is the one team in this tournament built precisely to make sure the third miracle never comes. This is the case nobody wants to make while the world writes the fairy tale. Why Messi's last World Cup ends in heartbreak against Switzerland. Let's start with what actually happened in these knockout rounds, because the scoreline of the tournament says Argentina won 5 in a row, and the truth underneath is much darker. Round of 32, Cape Verde, the tournament debutants, the smallest nation left, the feel-good story. Argentina couldn't put them away. Cape Verde equalized, dragged the champions into extra time, even led the dance for stretches, and Argentina needed 111 minutes and an own goal to survive. 3-2, the defending world champions, taken to the wire by a country playing its first ever World Cup. Then the round of 16, Egypt, and this time it got worse. Egypt scored first. Messi stepped up to a penalty to level it and missed. Egypt scored again. With 15 minutes left, Argentina were 2-0 down and their World Cup was over, dead. And then Messi did what only Messi does, an assist in the 79th, the equalizer 4 minutes later, and Enzo Fernandez heading a winner in stoppage time. 3 goals in 11 minutes. It was one of the greatest comebacks in World Cup history. Literally, no reigning champion had ever come back from 2 goals down to win a knockout game, ever. It had never happened before in nearly 100 years, and that's exactly my point. Argentina's survival required something that had never happened in the entire history of the World Cup. You don't get to lean on that twice. When your title defense is running on once-in-a-century comebacks, you're not cruising to a trophy. You're living on borrowed time. Now look closer at the cracks, because they're everywhere once you stop staring at the scoreboard. First, Argentina leaked goals, 5 games, and they've now conceded 4 in 2 knockout matches, to Cape Verde and Egypt, not to France, not to Spain, to the 67th ranked debutants, and to a side that hadn't won a knockout game in its history. The champions' defense, the thing that won them Qatar, the miserly backline in front of Emiliano Martinez, is getting opened up by teams it should be strangling. What do you think happens when the opposition is actually elite at defending its own box? Second, and this is the one that should genuinely terrify Argentina fans, Messi's penalties. He has missed 2 penalty kicks at this World Cup, one against Austria in the group, one against Egypt at 2, one down at the worst possible moment. That makes him the only player in the history of the tournament to miss 2 penalties at a single World Cup. And it's not a blip. Across his World Cup career, Messi has now missed 4 of his 8 penalty attempts. Half. Remember that number, because knockout football has a way of coming down to exactly one thing, and we'll get to what Switzerland just did in a shootout in a moment. Third, the squad is old, and the schedule is a meat grinder. 17 of these players are the same men who won it in 2022, 4 years older, in the biggest, longest, hottest World Cup ever played, in American summer heat. Messi turned 39 during this tournament. Extra time against Cape Verde. A furious, sprinting comeback against Egypt. Those miles don't come free at this age. Every escape costs some, and the bill always arrives late in tournaments. In the legs, in the recovery, in minute 105 of a knockout game. Now let me introduce you to the executioner, because Switzerland are not a name that scares anyone, and that's exactly what makes them so dangerous. Switzerland just did something no Swiss team has done in 72 years. They reached the World Cup quarterfinals for the first time since 1954, the longest gap between quarterfinals in the history of the competition. This is already the greatest Swiss World Cup in living memory. They have nothing to lose, 0 pressure, and a nation in dreamland. Sound familiar? It's the exact profile of every team that has hurt a giant at this tournament. And look at how they got here. They beat Colombia in the round of 16 in a game that finished goalless after 120 minutes, one of the tightest, most suffocating matches of the entire World Cup, and then won the shootout 4-3, ice cold, with Granit Xhaka leading from the front. This is a team that does not crack, a team that is perfectly happy to make a game ugly, strangle it to nothing, and drag you to penalties. Then there's the man in goal, and he might be the single biggest problem Argentina face. Gregor Kobel is having the goalkeeping tournament of anyone at this World Cup. By the numbers, he has prevented 3 full goals more than an average keeper would have, the best mark of any goalkeeper in the tournament. He just kept a clean sheet through 120 minutes, then won a shootout. Argentina's entire pattern this tournament is concede first, then rely on late goals to save us. Now put that pattern up against the hottest goalkeeper on the planet, behind the most organized defense left in the bracket. Where exactly are the 3 late goals coming from this time? And there's history here too, a warning from the past that makes this matchup even spookier. Argentina and Switzerland have met at a World Cup before, in the round of 16 in 2014, and Messi ran into exactly this wall. He created chance after chance that day, more chances than he's ever created in almost any World Cup game of his life, and Switzerland repelled everything for 118 minutes. It took a Di Maria goal 2 minutes from the end of extra time to finally break them. That's what Switzerland do to Argentina. They take the game to the very edge of a shootout and dare you to survive it. In 2014, Argentina escaped, but think about what that means for Saturday. If this one goes the same way, deadlocked, suffocated, into extra time, toward penalties, everything tips toward Switzerland. They just won a shootout. They're battle-tested at exactly this. They have the best performing keeper in the tournament standing in the goal, and Argentina's talisman, the man who would walk up to take the decisive kick with the whole world watching, has missed half the World Cup penalties he's ever taken, including 2 in the last 3 weeks. That is the nightmare scenario, and it is sitting right there in plain sight, and hovering over all of it is the curse we've talked about before on this channel, the oldest pattern in this competition. No team has won back-to-back World Cups since Brazil in 1962, 64 years. Italy tried, Brazil tried, Germany, Spain, France. Every great champion of the modern era has walked into their title defense and been swallowed by it. This tournament has already eaten Brazil, sent home by Norway. It's eaten Germany and the Netherlands, both out on penalties. It ended Ronaldo's last World Cup at the hands of Spain. The 2026 World Cup has been a graveyard for giants, and the biggest giant of all, the reigning champion, is limping through it on miracles, with an aging core, a leaking defense, and a talisman who can't buy a penalty. Argentina aren't defying the curse. They're being stalked one narrow escape at a time. So here's how I see Saturday going, and then I'll give you the other side. Switzerland will do what Switzerland do: sit deep, stay compact, suffocate the middle, and make the game as ugly as humanly possible. Exactly what they did to Colombia. Argentina will have the ball, and they'll run into a red wall with the best goalkeeper in the tournament behind it. The minutes will grind by. Maybe Switzerland nick one from a set piece. Argentina have conceded in both knockout games, remember? Maybe it stays goalless deep into the night, and 39-year-old legs that have already survived 2 wars are asked to win a third in extra time again. And if it reaches penalties, with Kobel in goal, with Xhaka's men ice cold from the spot, with Messi carrying 4 career misses from 8, I think the miracle finally doesn't come. I think the fairy tale ends in Kansas City, quietly, cruelly, the way it almost ended twice already. That's my verdict. I think Switzerland do it. But here's the other side, and it's a big one, so tell me in the comments if you're on it. The reason Argentina keeps surviving is the greatest player of all time is playing like it. 8 goals, a goal in every game. The first man ever to score in 6 consecutive World Cup knockout matches. He is 39 years old, and he is having, statistically, the best World Cup of his entire life. Every trap I've described, the wall, the shootout, the curse, is real, and Lionel Messi has spent 20 years walking through traps exactly like them, as if they weren't there. Betting against this team has been wrong twice in a row. Maybe it's wrong a 3rd time. So that's the question I'm leaving you with. Do the miracles run out on Saturday, or does Messi simply refuse to let this story end? Tell me your call below, because one way or another, we're watching the final chapters of the greatest career football has ever seen, and nights like Saturday are the reason none of us can look away.